Right after COVID, I wrote this book called It Makes Total Sense. I know that you've gotten a copy of it, and it's 12 conversations to improve your child's financial future. It's 12 by design because, ready? There are 12 months in a year. And what I wanted to make it easy to do is for parents to just lob a little topic out there once a month so that in 12 months, look at all of the things you would have covered. Things like getting money in their hands, the value of a dollar, budgeting, saving, compound interest, investing, taxes. Oh, yeah, the taxes conversation. We all hate that one. Borrowing and credit, philanthropy, insurance, legal documents, and money safety. 12 topics that if you just touch them at one dinner per month, at the end of the year, you're going to have your kids really curious about money. And when they're curious, they'll find out more about it. So let me just do a quick oversight on how I think the process needs to go at home for you. So here's what you do. You've got the book. The first thing you do is you read a chapter, then you're going to listen to a quick podcast episode. You're going to send them a TikTok. Don't get mad at me yet, parents. Just hang in there. I'm going to tell you why. And then you're going to have the money conversation. And we've created PDFs so that you can have a little guide or cheat sheet before you go and have that conversation. So let me show you each stage. You read the book. Now, I know when I get a book, I'm always like, oh, that was such a nice gesture. But then I feel like, I've got to read this book and give a book report back to the person that gave it to me. So I don't want you to think of my book as a book, but more as a guide. So you can see I had some fun there figuring out how many pages each chapter was. The whole book is only 120 pages, as you know. Each chapter is pretty short. I think I got a little verbose in the first chapter with 11 pages, but most of them you see are 6, 7, 8 pages in there. So what you do as the parent is you read the chapter. Let's say you read the 7 pages, and then there's a QR code at the end of every chapter. Ready for this? You hit the QR code, and what happens? It takes you to my podcast. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but when I see a podcast episode hit my iTunes or Spotify that says 1:00:00, meaning that the podcast length is over an hour, I start to get heart palpitations. So what I did is I kept each podcast episode under 10 minutes. Why? It's the type of thing you as a parent can listen to on your car ride, on a walk, when you just have 10 minutes to spare. And let me help frame how this conversation, the podcast episode will sound. It's me being like a soccer coach in the locker room to you, saying, okay, today we're going to play against Duke. Here's how this is going to play out. So I tell you, today we're going to talk about budgeting, and I tell you why. Then I'm going to give you 4 questions that you'll ask at dinner. This is Socratic method. So you're just going to ask a question, and then you're going to do your darndest to be quiet and not say anything and let your kids talk. I know it's hard. And then I'm going to give you what your child is most likely to say in the answer. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, who does Tom think he is that he knows how my kids are going to answer? Well, it's an educated guess, but let me tell you why it's an educated guess. Because I did it with my own kids. Then I had my kids bring over their friends for dinner, and I did it with the friends. And then I brought over the kids in the high school that I coach separately, and I did it with them. And I can tell you, there were some questions that I asked that led to unbelievable conversations. I can also admit that there were some epic crash and burns where I asked a question and got cricket. So we tossed those out. But what I'm able to do with that is to give you a 10-minute podcast so you're armed and ready to go into that conversation, whether it's in the car or at dinner. And then here's the social media part of it. And I start by saying, is social media our friend or enemy? And when I say our, I mean us as parents. And whether it be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, none of the kids are on Facebook anymore, right? It's like my daughter told me that that's an old person's thing. It could be Twitter, Twitch, Snapchat. All of those are places where kids are going to watch and entertain themselves, but also get information. And so what I'm wanting you to do is to talk to your kids about TikTok, but you're going to do it this way. I've had the kids in my town do TikToks on every one of the chapters. What you're going to do is you're going to send your kids a TikTok. They're on it anyway. Let's not fight that fight. Let's just make sure that at least some of the TikToks that they're looking at are educational. So what you do is you send them the TikTok. What that does is it introduces the topic you're going to talk about at dinner. By the way, it probably also trips the algorithms. So all of a sudden, they're going to be getting more personal finance TikToks in there. Let's keep that in the circle of trust with us as parents, that we know that that's going on. And then what happens is it kicks off the conversation. And if I haven't sold you on it yet, you need to understand, on the left, you can see with the social media sources where young adults receive financial information. Top 3, YouTube, Reddit, TikTok. If you go to the right-hand side and you see the most trusted social media sites for financial information, you can see one of the biggest pieces of the pie is TikTok. And this was by Forbes. So what I want to encourage you to do, this isn't a gotta do, but I think it really works to help frame that conversation with your kids.